Hello students, greetings from Saraswati Sisukunj. This is video number 29 of Applied English Listening. In this video students, I am going to discuss assessment task that I have given in my previous video. Students, you are going to do listening for the second time. Along with you, I am also going to do listening. I will write my answers on the board. Students, before that, this is Saraswati Sisukunj Bhagwala Borshad, and I am going to explain how the listening parts will be for your examination. Students, you are going to appear for Applied English Listening in month of October. Before that, I would like to give a brief explanation. I have already given some explanation of Applied English Listening examination in my previous video. Students, there will be how many parts? There will be 4 parts: part 1, part 2, part 3 and part 4. But the part there are 4 parts, students, but I am going to write what answers that you are going to write for the examination, and then we are going to have a discussion of Applied English Listening of an assessment task that I have given for the video. Students, now I will write part 1 here. Part 1. Here also part 1. Part 1. How many questions are you going to have in part 1? So there would be how many parts? There would be 2 parts. Part 1, the other one also is called part 1. So there would be 10 questions. So I write here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. So this is part 1. How many questions will be there? There are total 10 questions, especially for your examination. One more part 1, there also will be how many questions? 10 questions. So I write here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. So you need to prepare the answer key in this way. Part 1, 10 questions. Here also part 1. There are how many questions that you are going to write? There are 10 questions. You are going to write answers of 10 questions for part 1 and part 2. One more part 2 and one more part 2. So here I write part 2. Part 2. One more part 2. Part 2. Students, in part 2 also you are going to have 10 to 20 questions, but the number would be 11 to 20. So I write here 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 and 20. So students, how many questions are there in part 2? There are 11 to 20. So your answer also should be in a number 11 to 20. Also there is one more part 2. There are also the same following that we need to have, that is 11 to 20. So I write the number here 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 and 20. So students, there are total 40 questions you are going to have for applying this examination. Part 1, 10 questions. One more part 1 consisting of 10 questions. Part 2 you are going to have 20 questions. Okay. And here also one more part 2, that how many questions? 20 questions. So total you are going to have 40 questions, and each question answers is for 1 mark. Students, you need to prepare the answer key in a such a way. Part 1, one more part 1, part 2, the other one also is called part 2. So students, when you prepare your answer key, you prepare in this way, it will be really easy for you. Now students, I am going to play a listening track for you here. Do listening of the assessment task that I have given in my previous video. Write your answers in the answer sheet, and then we will discuss what answer should be. Students, the listening track is here. Start listening.
Test 3, Section 2. You will hear a man giving some information about transport in London. You now have 30 seconds to read questions 11 to 15.
Hello, can I help you?
Oh, yes. I was wondering what the best way was for me to get around London.
Well, there are a lot of possibilities. As you probably realise, the main ways to get around are bus, train and tube.
Oh?
The Underground.
Oh.
It depends how much you want to spend. All forms of transport offer special tickets, such as cheap day returns on the trains and so on. Overall, you'll spend less on the bus, as it operates on a basic flat fare for each journey. But of course it may not go to where you need to travel to. The mainline trains only operate in the outlying areas, though a few cross London, whereas the tube has stations which are placed in central areas of the city, close to the main sites and shops. Obviously there are more bus stops, but you will probably have to change buses to get where you want, which can be inconvenient. You will find that the buses are mainly in the central areas, but some tube lines go quite a long way out of London, so you could use this for longer journeys. Having said that, the tubes do get very crowded, so you should use the train if you want to sit down. It does depend where you're travelling to.
Well, I'm living on the outskirts, but I have to travel into London to college every day, and then around London when I'm here.
OK, so time is going to be an issue for you. The tube should be fast crossing London, but quite honestly there are so many delays that it's not very efficient. Again, the train has fewer stops, so is probably your quickest option to get to and from college. Of course, which service you use might depend on how frequent it is. I mean, the trains might only be every 20 minutes or whatever, but a timetable is published to save you hanging around. There are a lot of tube trains at busy times of day, but fewer at other times, whereas the buses run every 5 minutes through most of the day, and there are night buses. But you'll need to check out your route first.
You now have 30 seconds to read questions 16 to 20.
Okay, thanks. How can I get from here to Hackney then?
Right, well, you can choose. We're here at the information office, OK? Now, next to us, on the corner of the High Street and Sweet Street, is the bus stop, opposite the bank. The bus goes all the way to Hackney, but it is a very indirect route, so it could take ages. If you want to take the train, walk down the High Street towards the city, go past the bank, and on your left is the station, just before you get to the post office. There's a mainline service to Hackney Wick, so if you need to get into the centre of Hackney, you may need to pick up a bus when you get there. Opposite the post office, on the corner of Hart Lane, is the tube entrance. You'll see the big signs. That's probably the best way to get there, though you may have to change. It's probably best if you go and get a travel card first. To get to the ticket office, you go out of here onto the High Street. Then turn into South Street, and the ticket office is on your right opposite the cinema. Of course, you may decide it's quicker to take a taxi. But it's a long way, so I think it'll be very expensive. If you do want to get a cab, then the rank is outside here, just opposite the office.
Students, I hope you have written your answers in the answer sheet. Now I am going to discuss what answer should be of what you have done in listening. Students, a man will be giving information about transport in London. Now a lady wants some information about that, and may I know what is the best way to go around in London? So there is some information giving about of which types of transport is the following true. Okay, and write the correct letter A, B or C next to the questions. Now there is a table students, you can see here. In the table it is mentioned A tube, B train and the C option is bus. Okay students, features of transport. When you have done listening, it is clearly mentioned that what is the most convenient or most comfortable option for to go around in London. Okay, but which is the cheapest one? The cheapest one is the less fare. They have not said the cheapest one, but when you have done listening very attentively, they have used the word less. So now less is compared to, it is a kind of synonym, cheapest. So what is the option? The option is bus is the very less fare and it is the cheapest one. The second one we see 12th number, most convenient. Now what is the most convenient? Tube. Now tube means it is a underground train. Okay, tube. Now most convenient is A, it is the tube. Okay. Now most comfortable, every day on a regular basis that she has to go to college and there would be many stops. So what is the most comfortable for her? The most comfortable transportation would be train. And would it be many stoppage? Yes, it would be many stoppage for her. Yes, and also she can commute. This 13th one, that is most convenient is tube. And what is the most comfortable? The most comfortable transportation for her is train. Okay, now students, there are fastest. What is the fastest means of transportation that she would like to have? The best and fastest mode of transportation would be again train. Then train would be the fastest, and since it is a tube, then it is the most fastest train. The 15th one, that is most frequent services. Which is the transportation that having the most frequent services? The most frequent services would be after 5 minutes you will get bus. Okay, and the buses also run at night. It is clearly mentioned in the conversation, students. So most frequent service would be bus. So I have written the option here C. You need to select students from the table and appropriate answers that you need to write. When you have done listening very attentively, students, it would be really easy for you to write answers. Okay, students, we have completed the doubt solving of questions 11 to 15, and it is part 2. I have already mentioned that in your examination I am going to ask the same type of questions of part 2, part 1 and part 2. In part 1, students, you will be having 11 to 15 and also 16 to 20. Now rest of the questions, students, we are going to see of doubt solving 16 to 20. We are going to discuss questions 16 to 20, and it is a map of part 2. Now students, you can find a lot of options over here, but I have written here questions number 16, 17, 18, 19 and 20, and students, there are options given, okay, from letters that you can see A, B, C, D, E, F and G. And in the conversation that you can hear, a lady wants to go to Hackney, and a man who is giving information about transportation, he explains how to go to Hackney. Okay, we are at information office, and you know that at the information office, and where is the bus stop? And he explains that if you go towards city side of High Street, you will find a bus stop just near the information office. So now where is the bus stop? The bus stop is here. Well, with the information given, just you need to go to High Street, the way goes to the city. So here it is the bus stop. Okay. Now train station. Now the train station that you need to go further, you will find a lot of buses over there that going to city. And if you go further, there is just opposite of just near the bank, you will find train station. So here it is a train station that you can find, where High Street you need to go further, and there you will find a train station. And then there is a tube entrance just next to the post office. Okay, not next to the post office, but opposite of post office, that you will find tube entrance. So now here it is a G, and you can find tube entrance, where just opposite of the post office. And from there, then you need to book a ticket. Now transport ticket office. What the man says the man says that you need to book a train ticket. So what happens? The train ticket is still here. So how the explanation? You need to go out of a high street. Then again a person needs to come here. Go out of the high street means go backward, and on your right, go to the south street. Now here it is a south street. On your right, that means here. On your right, then you will find a transport ticket office here. So here it is a transport ticket. Hence I have written a transport ticket office. It's here. Where? It is South Street. Okay. Now there you can book a ticket. And taxi rank. Where is the taxi rank? Again that you need to come. Okay. You need to come down that way that goes to the street, Smith Street. And on your left, there you can find a taxi rank. So here it is a taxi rank. Okay, students, you need to follow the instruction how it is goes. So first they were there at the information office, students, and it always goes in a sequence. It is not without any sequence. It is always in a sequence. Students, this is a very easy questions. It is a map type of and 16 to 20. I hope students you have understood this all map type of questions of part 2. Students, now for your assessment task, I always give after my video an assessment task. Students, now I would like to give an assessment task for you, and in the assessment task you can just do listening for your applied English examination, and you can get good score of applied English. Now students, after this video I am going to play a listening track for you, that is an assessment task for you, and you need to practice over there and you can do better in your examination. I hope students once again that you have understood all questions 11 to 20. First we have completed 11 to 15 and then 16 to 20. Now I am going to play a listening track for you, and the listening track is here. Start listening.
Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 4.
Hello, I am a new student here.
Hello, what can I do for you?
Can you tell me what the student union does?
Well, we're part of the National Union of Students, who represent students' interests across the country. We provide services for all students at this college.
What kind of services?
There are advisors and welfare staff, entertainments, sports clubs, union societies, meetings, campaigns, and special interest groups. We offer everything from ballroom dancing to karate, jazz, and political debates.
Sounds great. How can you help overseas students?
As I've said, we have welfare officers who are used to the sort of problems overseas students may have. They know where to get advice on a particular situation, or basically give whatever help is asked for.
I am from the Philippines, and I hope I can meet other Filipino students who are here. I play chess and many sports, especially badminton, basketball, and wrestling. Please, can you tell me how to find out about these things?
There is a Filipino society at the college. Regular meetings take place and lots of social activities are organized, such as meals, plays, and dances. The society is made up of Filipino students and other students who have an interest in the Philippines.
And what about the sports? Does the union offer the ones I'm interested in?
Yes, we do. There are basketball and wrestling teams. If you want to play in one of the college teams, you have to go along to training sessions and compete for a place. For badminton, you can either go to the badminton club or book a court to play with friends.
Is there also a chess club or team?
No, I'm afraid not. It may be best for you to put a notice on our notice board to find other players.
Will that cost me anything?
No, it's a free service available to all students, but you have to give your notice to a union officer first, so that it's fair for everyone who wants to use the notice board.
I only have a room for 1 month at the moment. I need to find a house or a flat to live in near the college. Are you able to help me with any accommodation problems?
There are always rooms available in shared flats or houses on our notice board. The college has some of its own accommodation, and you can also apply for these. If you have any problems at all, you should talk to one of the student union's welfare officers, who can give specialist advice on accommodation.
Thank you for your help.
You're welcome. Now would you mind helping us? We're conducting a survey to learn more about the students who visit our union office, so that we can improve our services. Would you mind if I asked you a few questions?
Not at all.
Now look at questions 5 to 10. As you listen to the student's conversation with the union officer, fill in the spaces 5 to 10 on the form. First, you have some time to look at the form. Now listen carefully and fill in gaps 5 to 10.
Now would you mind helping us? We're conducting a survey to learn more about the students who visit our union office, so that we can improve our services. Would you mind if I asked you a few questions?
Not at all.
First of all, what is your name?
My name is Cesar Bautisto.
How do you spell your last name?
Bautisto.
Thank you. And what are you studying?
Development Economics.
I see. And how long is the course for?
1 year. It's a postgraduate diploma.
What would you like to do at the end of it? Have you made your mind up yet?
Yes, I'd like to be a United Nations project advisor.
Oh, would you? That sounds interesting. Tell me, though, why have you chosen this university?
It's got a good reputation in the field of economics.
And you say you come from the Philippines?
Yes, that's right.
And which city do you come from?
Manila.
Oh, that's the city I've always wanted to go to. What do you do in your spare time?
I go to play games. I love sports.
Ah, yes, you mentioned that. Basketball, badminton, and wrestling, wasn't it?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, that's it. I'll add your name to our mailing list. We appreciate your help with this survey. If you have any suggestions, be sure to give us a call or drop by at any time.
All right, I will. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
That is the end of part 1.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.